Faith is a lifestyle. It is the mountain on which you stand that makes you believe that a dream is actually attainable. It is the concrete evidence that makes the logically impossible seem completely tangible. It seemed hopeless, but faith. I can't prove it, but faith. I can't explain it, but my faith has given me peace.
I'm a Christian with $100 million vision. Can nobody box me and say that's a contradiction? Goal driven, God just blessed me with the ambition. Look up when there is the definition.
We often hear us say many are called, but few are chosen. But what does that even mean? We search our entire lifetime sometimes to find our callings. We often search for years for the call of God. So you're telling me that I searched for my entire life for the call of God? I found that which makes me unique and what I specifically bring to the kingdom of God, and now I have to make sure I'm chosen too? Why is being called not the same as being chosen? This pandemic has blessed a lot of us with the opportunity to have the time to find ourselves and reevaluate exactly what is important. It truly has given us the opportunity to take a step back, to build or rebuild a relationship with God, to begin the process of going the direction that the Lord has been trying to send you. I know there's a lot of people that are going to come out of this season with books written, with plays written, with movie scripts finished, with certifications, with degrees, with business plans completed, websites built, resumes perfected, careers changed. I see a wave of people coming out of this situation as an unstoppable force. Some people know that they are called to do something, and some people are still just trying to figure it out. I know I'm called, but how in the world would I know that I'm chosen? Today I want to start a lesson, a journey that will last probably more than just this 1 week. There's so much I want to unpack here, and I know I don't want these shows to go too long, but I believe this will be a series for a couple of weeks and will bring understanding and value as you walk this walk with the Lord. The Lord gave me this simple title: Chosen. Welcome to the Elevation Podcast. My name is Shawn Riff-Raff. This is www.ShawnRiffraff.com. Let's go.
King. Royalty, stand up, brand up, fam up, hand out, no way, hands up, know what, name that, it's mine, claim that, it's time, message, we shine, above all, the decline, the darkness cannot last, the shadow of my past, before I gain knowledge of heritage, I have the bloodline that I share, most powerful out here, the mover of mountains is who I am touting, the richest among us is who I'm the son of, from sundown to sun up, that's how I the come up, position is just mine, the favor in due time, can't have it, man, you lying, the powerless, you trying, enemy beneath me, there's nothing to teach me, the people receive me, cause my God complete me, and my God does keep me, and my God they free me, and my God redeem me, and my God relieve me, this is the million, crown me, I am winning my position, God's giving, God's in the God's children.
There are some things in the Bible that, if misinterpreted or misunderstood, create what I have called, or my sort of, what I have coined a phrase, religious exceptionalism. Religious exceptionalism, meaning that religious people often use the Bible to justify their own human need to be on a higher social, political, economic, intellectual, and yes, spiritual of human hierarchy. We use certain things to compare ourselves to others. It makes us, feel better about who we are when we get to say we are on a higher level than someone else. I'm on a higher moral level than a rapist. This allows us to put our own selves on a level, a higher level, and look down to others who aren't on that level. We say terms like, we say things in the church, like, I can't date you because we aren't equally yoked, which basically means, in layman's terms, you're not on my level. It allows me to create a hierarchy of who's who and who's on my level and who's not by making that statement. Even though the statement is biblical, it's very human to misuse it in that manner. The statement, many are called, but few are chosen, is more often than not used in the same fashion. It is often used by religious or church people who are attempting to justify their position on the pyramid in the institution of church. Religious exceptionalism. Many are called, but few are chosen. But I want to unwrap what this really means. And why would I want to do that? Well, because it's important and because Jesus said it. But I have a secret. Jesus did not purpose it for religious exceptionalism. As a matter of fact, it's nothing like that. But to truly understand this particular text, we have to do what I rarely do on the Elevation podcast, which is actually read the text, which, I rarely do this on Elevation podcast. It's in Matthew 22. And we're going to read the whole chapter because it's only 14 verses long. Jesus speaks, it is the parable of the wedding banquet. Now, most people who know, who know something about Jesus, know something about church, have heard this parable before. But I want to bring another truth out of it. So Matthew 22. Jesus spoke to them again in his parable, saying, "The kingdom of heaven is like a king who prepared a wedding banquet for his son. He sent his servants to those who had been invited to the banquet to tell them to come, but they refused to come. Then he sent some more servants and said, 'Tell those who have been invited that I have prepared my dinner. My oxen and fattened cattle had been butchered, and everything is ready. Come to the wedding banquet.' But they paid no attention and went off, one to his field, another to his business. The rest seized his servants, mistreated, and killed them. The king was enraged. He sent his army and destroyed those murderers and burnt their city. Then he said to his servants, 'The wedding banquet is ready, but those I invited did not deserve to come. So go to the street corners and invite to the banquet anyone you find.' So the servants went out to the streets and gathered all of the people they could find, and the bad as well as the good, and the wedding hall was filled with guests. But when the king came in to see the guests, he noticed there was a man there who was not wearing wedding clothes. He asked, 'How did you get in here without wedding clothes, friend?' The man was speechless. Then the king told the attendants, 'Tie him hand and foot, throw him outside into the darkness where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. For many are called, but few are chosen.'" Now, when you look at that story, it's a very interesting story, and the end of it is quite a twist. And then he says, "For many are called, but few are chosen." We'll look at the invited people as the ones that were called. He first sent his servants, the king having a great banquet, spare no expense, got everything cooking. It's going to be a ball. He sent his servants to go get the people that he had previously invited to the banquet, go get them. And they refused to come. And he resent the servants out again. "Hey, go get them people. We ready to rock. We over here ready to party." And not only did they refuse to come the second time, some went left, some went to their land, and some went back to their business or their companies. They too busy. They don't care about this banquet. And then some even mistreated the servants who the king has sent. Some mistreated the servants who the king had sent to go invite them to the party. Not only did they mistreat them, not only did they mishandle them and abuse them and hurt them, they killed them. So the king destroyed them and burnt their cities. Then the king says, you know what? Everybody invited to this party. Anybody who want to come, the invitation is out. Everybody invited to the party. So then he invited people on the streets. He invited everybody. So then the banquet hall was just filled with people. And then the king came out, looks around, sees somebody who wasn't dressed appropriately, and says, you know, how did you even get in here? The man had no answer, and he tied him up by the hands and the feet, and he sent them out. And he said he had him, you know, had the people send them out, get on out of here. Where there was, you know, where there was weeping and gnashing of teeth, is what it says. Then he says, for many are called and few are chosen. Now, this story seems to have a strange twist at the end, because the man at the end was not chosen, even though he was called. Why was he treated so poorly? All he did was come he had an invitation. All he did was come. Why exactly was that guy treated so poorly? And the answer to this is the understanding of this entire story. It's the understanding of what it means that many are called, but few are chosen. It's the understanding of this entire story. It's such a strange twist, understanding that in this story, wearing clothes signified your respect and your truth to the invitation. I say it again. Understand in this story, wearing the wedding clothes signified your respect and your truth to the invitation itself, right? It means that you came to this place ready for this invitation and caring about this invitation. And your heart was, I wanted to go be with the king, and I wanted to be in a palace with the king, and my heart was in this. And when you didn't come dressed, it means you didn't come with your heart in this. That's what it means to be chosen. Listen to this. Those who are chosen respond sincerely to the call. I say that again, just for the just for the ones who didn't hear. Those who are chosen respond in truth. They respond sincerely to the call. Those who are chosen, their hearts respond to the call. If you responded to the call because you were emotional that day, you weren't chosen. If you responded to the call because of your traditions, you weren't chosen. If you responded to your call because your mama and them responded to the call, you weren't chosen. If you responded to the call because everybody around you responded to the call, you weren't chosen. If you responded to a call because a ton of people were going and you thought you could sell them your products, you weren't chosen. If you responded to the call because of marketing and opportunistic reasons, you weren't chosen. This is the kicker. If you responded for any other reason other than the sincerity of being in this call, you weren't chosen. If you don't come to this in sincerity, with love and respect for where you're going and who you're going for, that you are just as bad as the ones who never responded in the first place, the ones who didn't come, the ones who abused. You were just as bad as the ones who abused the servants of God, because you weren't chosen. They were all called. They were all invited. They were all there, but they weren't all chosen. God does not choose those who haven't humbled their selfish agenda to his absolute will. God does not choose those who have not humbled their selfish agenda to his absolute will. What does it mean to be chosen? It means to answer the call and surrender to the will. That's what it means to be chosen. It's not just simply answering the call. A lot of people answer the call for the wrong reasons. That's not being chosen. A lot of people answer the call and they're not sincere about it. That's not being chosen. The chosen part, interestingly enough, is not, oh, God calls you and then he chooses the special ones. And that is what is mistakenly thought of when we think about this verse, as if God calls people and then he chooses. Though, why would God be that redundant? That's what has always bothered me about this particular saying, is that it kind of shows God to be somewhat of a redundant God. Like, why do you need to call and choose? Why don't you just call who you chose? The choosing was on you. That's why he did. That's why the choosing was on you. If your heart is not in the right place when you're called, if your heart is not in the right place, you're not chosen. That's not what this is. This isn't God calling you to be an opportunist. This isn't God calling you to market your products in the store, in the church. This isn't God calling you to his people so that you can benefit in this earth by doing that. No, that's not what he called you for. He called you for his purpose. He called you for his purpose. Man, welcome to the Elevation Podcast, man. I'll be back. Faith is a lifestyle. It is the mountain on which you stand that makes you believe that a dream is actually attainable. It is the concrete evidence that makes the logically impossible seem completely tangible. It seemed hopeless, but faith. I can't prove it, but faith. I can't explain it, but my faith has given me peace.
I'm a Christian with $100 million vision. Can nobody box me and say that's a contradiction? Goal driven, God just blessed me with the ambition. Look up when there is, he is the definition.
Welcome back. This is the Elevation Podcast. I appreciate everybody, as I say this every week on the Elevation Podcast. I say the same thing every week, and I will say it until I'm blue in the face. I appreciate everybody for just hanging out with me, sharing with me how much the Elevation Podcast means to you every week. And that means a lot to understand what your work is doing, even though I would do it regardless, because this is where I feel like I'm called and chosen to do it. So I don't do it for the need to hear someone's feedback. But when I hear someone's feedback, I ultimately understand the Lord's purpose in this. And so I really appreciate that. What we're doing is so incredibly cool, and it's so incredibly dope. And I always like to come on after and just let you guys know that I appreciate you, hanging out with me. Most of the time we on here for about 30 minutes. Sometimes it's a little less, and sometimes when I got guests it's a little longer, because we like to talk and chat it up and see what people are doing. But I really appreciate you guys just for hanging out with me, being a part. All of your support is so extraordinary, the kind of support that I'm getting for this, and I really appreciate you. Next week, we're going to be starting a new show on Shawn Riff-Raff at Shawn Riff-Raff Studios. I can't tell you what it is right now, but you will see some marketing stuff go out for it. I really want you to take a look at it. It's going to be really, really, everything I do is specifically for bring some value, some understanding, some knowledge to you. So I've got a partner of mine who's starting up a brand new show on ShawnRiffRaff.com, and I really want you guys to watch it, and you'll love it. You'll love him for sure. You'll love it. Also, the River Church live every Sunday morning. At Sunday afternoon at 3:00. Oh, not Sunday morning at 3:00. Every Sunday afternoon at 3:00. Check out the River Church right here on Shawn Riff-Raff Studios at www.ShawnRiffRaff.com, or on Facebook, on everywhere. But mostly on ShawnRiffRaff.com. You can watch all this stuff live on Roku, on Apple TV. It's all there. So I appreciate you guys. This has been the Elevation Podcast. My name is Shawn Riff-Raff. I appreciate you. Peace. King. Royalty, stand up, brand up, fam up, hand out.
hands up, know what? Name that, it's mine. Claim that, it's time. Message, we shine. Above all the decline, the darkness cannot last. The shadow of my past before I gain knowledge of heritage I have. The bloodline that I share, most powerful out here. The mover of mountains is who I am touting. The richest among us is who I'm the son of. From sundown to sun up, that's how I the come up. Position is just mine. The favor in due time. Can't have it, man, you lying. The powerless, you trying. Enemy beneath me, there's nothing to teach me. The people receive me, cause my God complete me. And my God does keep me. And my God they free me. And my God redeem me. And my God relieve me. I'm chasing the million, crown me. I am winning my position. God's giving, God's sending, God's showing.